Every year, more than 1 million animals begin the largest land journey on the planet. But what forces them to cross territories ruled by lions, hyenas, and crocodiles? In the African savanna, survival depends on movement. Rain defines the path, hunger quickens the pace, and every crossing could be the last. Today, we follow the Great Migration across the Serengeti, where only the most alert make it to the other side. And before we continue, if this kind of documentary keeps you watching, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're watching this wild journey from. In the southern Serengeti, the dry season reduces grass to tough, nutrient-poor fibers. For wildebeest, staying means losing weight and energy. The only alternative is to follow the rain clouds moving north. Zebras depart first, clearing the way. Behind them, millions of hooves begin to move, and the migration takes shape. Movements on this scale do not go unnoticed. Lions track the edges of the herd, selecting vulnerable targets. Hyenas watch from a distance, waiting for the right mistake. For predators, the migration is opportunity. For wildebeest, every pause increases risk. And as the column advances, tension spreads through the tall grass. Most attacks fail. The herd's strength lies in numbers. But one delay, one stumble, can change the outcome. Lions exploit momentary disorder, targeting the youngest or most isolated individuals. Each charge tests the limits of collective endurance. And today, the migration claims its first price. The migration does not stop. Even after a loss, the moving mass reorganizes almost immediately. Staying would be even more dangerous. Lions rarely chase long distances. They rely on mistakes. Ahead, zebras maintain a steady rhythm, guided by memory of seasonal routes. And north remains the only possible direction. As they advance toward the central Serengeti, the wildebeest enter established territories. Here, lions know every rise in the terrain. Leopards prefer to act alone, using denser vegetation to their advantage. Wild dogs test the endurance of smaller groups. The migration now crosses a zone where predator experience can make the difference. The first rains turn the ground into slippery mud. Water brings new life to the grass, but also creates unexpected barriers. Small streams fill rapidly, interrupting the herd's advance. To cross, coordination is essential. Every hesitation compresses the group and increases risk, and the journey begins to demand more than endurance. If you're still watching, leave a like. It helps this documentary reach more people who appreciate wildlife. With the ground saturated, each step requires more energy. Mud traps hooves, slows movement, and fragments smaller groups. Calves and lighter individuals lose stability easily. For predators, mud is a silent ally. The migration continues, but physical exhaustion begins to accumulate. The scent of water is already in the air. As they move north, the wildebeest enter gently sloping terrain. Small tributaries signal the approach of a greater obstacle. The Mara River is not just a crossing, it is a breaking point, and collective hesitation begins to surface. At the edge of the Mara, momentum slows. Thousands gather at the bank, forming a living bottleneck. The murky water hides depth and current. Some move forward, retreat, then advance again. There is no clear leader, only growing pressure from behind. And the longer they remain exposed, the greater the danger becomes. It always starts with one. A single impulsive leap breaks the collective hesitation. In seconds, doubt turns into an avalanche. The current is strong, the riverbed uneven. Some find footing, others are swept sideways. The Mara quickly decides who crosses and who does not. And once begun, the flow becomes impossible to stop. Beneath the murky water, visibility is minimal. Nile crocodiles know every curve of the riverbed. They remain motionless until vibrations signal sufficient proximity. Unlike lions, they do not chase, they calculate. One precise, economical burst can secure food for days. In the chaos of the crossing, the current assists the predator. And beneath the surface, the real danger remains unseen. On the opposite bank, the pace slows. Many cross exhausted, consuming critical energy reserves. The crossing imposes an invisible cost: muscle fatigue, dehydration, and temporary disorganization. Land predators understand this moment. After the river, vulnerability increases before formation is restored, and the migration, even after defeating the water, is far from over. Away from the water, pressure does not fade. Land predators continue to follow the migration, exploiting signs of weakness. The herd remains cohesive, but small gaps begin to appear along the edges. Every slowdown creates opportunity, and across the vast open savanna, speed and coordination once again determine who continues. With constant pressure along the flanks, the youngest begin to lose position. The herd protects its center, but irregular movement creates temporary openings. Calves depend on maternal proximity to maintain direction and pace. When formation stretches too far, seconds of delay can mean isolation, and predators watch for precisely those moments. Unlike lions, wild dogs rely on endurance and cooperation. They hunt in packs, rotating positions until the target loses stamina. They do not need the perfect ambush, only progressive exhaustion. In open terrain, their efficiency increases, and when they identify a young individual out of position, the chase begins immediately. While wild dogs depend on stamina, lions prefer precision. They use terrain, wind direction, and distraction caused by other pursuits. One well-placed charge can be enough. When the herd slows to reorganize, opportunity emerges. And in taller grass, ambush once again becomes the primary strategy. After multiple charges, cohesion begins to weaken. Small groups break away for critical minutes before rejoining. This temporary fragmentation increases individual exposure. Predators do not need to bring down the entire herd, only identify who fell out of rhythm. And in the space between two clusters, risk multiplies. After repeated attack attempts, the herd adjusts its movement pattern. Density increases at the center, and the flanks become more compact. This behavior reduces vulnerability, but also lowers average speed. The migration continues, now in a tighter formation, and the balance between protection and progress becomes increasingly delicate. The terrain begins to change. Open plains give way to gentle valleys and denser vegetation. Small waterways suggest a larger system ahead. Humidity rises and the soil grows darker. The herd does not yet see the Mara, but it responds to environmental signals. And the landscape announces a new challenge. From the top of the final rise, the valley finally reveals itself. Vegetation thickens, and a dark line winds through the distance, the Mara. The herd instinctively slows. The descent will be inevitable. After weeks under constant pressure, a new obstacle stands ahead, and the crossing that will define this stage of migration is now within sight. At the Mara's edge, movement slows again. Murky water conceals depth and current. Pressure from behind pushes the first individuals toward the brink. The decision is not individual, it is collective. And one leap is enough to start the flow. Hesitation ends with a single movement. One individual slips, another jumps on impulse. The cold water and current surprise the first entrants. It is not yet an avalanche, but the flow has begun. And from here, retreat becomes unlikely. The isolated movement turns into an avalanche. Within seconds, dozens leap simultaneously. The current loses definition beneath the volume of bodies. The crossing ceases to be a choice and becomes an uncontrollable surge. And at the river's center, organization collapses. In the middle of the channel, the current imposes its own logic. The crossing line dissolves. Animals are pushed sideways, separated by decisive meters. The force of water overcomes collective coordination, and each individual begins to fight alone against the flow. In the chaos of the current, advantage belongs to those who know the riverbed. Nile crocodiles remain submerged until the exact moment. One short, targeted burst is enough. The murky water conceals the strike, but the impact echoes at the surface. The crossing continues, not through control, but through collective pressure. And while some reach the bank, others vanish beneath the flow. The attack shatters any remaining coordination. The response is not strategic, it is instinctive. Animals accelerate without clear direction, compressing against one another. The crossing becomes escape, and in mid-channel, every lost second increases the risk. At the peak of the crossing, the surface deceives. Most of the action happens below the water. Crocodiles exploit disorder, selecting targets displaced by the current. There is no prolonged chase, only precision. And in the center of the channel, the crossing exacts its toll. After minutes against the current, energy begins to fail. Not all can maintain pace to the bank. The river's strength does not distinguish age or experience. When effort collapses, the water takes control, and the crossing reveals its quietest cost. On the opposite bank, the pace slows abruptly. Survivors catch their breath while the crossing continues behind them. Loss does not halt the migration. The impulse to move forward remains. And even exhausted, the first individuals resume their direction north. Beyond the river, the landscape changes quickly. Grass grows taller and denser, the result of recent northern rains. For the survivors, the crossing fulfilled its immediate objective: food. The pace slows now not from hesitation, but biological necessity. And after loss, energy begins to be restored. With abundant food, priorities shift. The focus moves from escape to replenishment. Small groups realign, maintaining enough distance for vigilance. The crossing is behind them, but ecological pressure does not disappear. And while the herd stabilizes, balance remains temporary. Abundance attracts more than herbivores. Where prey concentrates, predators follow. The river crossing reduced numbers, but did not eliminate vulnerability. Lions and hyenas reappear along the edges of the new grazing grounds. And even in green territory, pressure gradually returns. With abundant food, the youngest quickly regain weight lost during the crossing. Growth accelerates at this stage of the migratory cycle. While adults maintain constant vigilance, calves explore with greater confidence. The landscape offers resources, but no guarantees, and learning continues under permanent watch. The crossing lies behind them, but the journey does not end here. Migration is continuous movement, shaped by rain, food, and predators. New challenges will emerge in the coming weeks. For the survivors, each stage guarantees only the next. And while the grass sustains the herd, the cycle is already preparing to begin again. If this journey kept you watching until now, subscribe to follow the next migrations, and tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from.